everyone, student. This session we will continue with the topic that is sequence and synonym. So one of the feature of the Oracle or SQL language is we can create the sequence for a particular object field, right? So what is exactly sequence? If you take the example of roll number field, so if you want to create the roll number field, automatically you can create the sequence. Many times you might have observed while filling the form, only you give the personal information, right, name and other things, and your ID is created automatically by the your application, right? So if you want to do this, right, if you want to generate this sequence automatically for a particular field, you can create the sequence, right? For example, roll number field. So roll number, if you want to create automatically, right, in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So whenever new student will created by the application, this roll number will be assigned by this sequence automatically as the next number, right? So this sequence can be defined to generate the numbers in ascending or descending order, and also we can provide the interval between the number here, right? So not only this number will increment by 1, also you can mention this interval here. If you want to create the sequence of odd numbers, if you want to create the sequence of even numbers, that also you can create. If you want to increment this sequence by 2, 3 as per your application requirement, you can mention the interval here, right? So as a part of syntax here, you can mention these parameters while creating the sequence. So here create sequence is the DDL command that you can note down, student, here, right? So create sequence name, right? For example, here my sequence for address field, assume we want to create this address field as a one sequence, right? So here my syntax is create sequence address SEQ is the name of my sequence that is given by the user, right? Increment by 1, right? So my sequence will increment by 1 always whenever we will insert record into the table, right? Start with 1, my sequence will start with the 1, right? These are the parameters we can mention as a part of the syntax while creating the sequence, right? So you can mention the minimum and maximum value of the sequence, right? And cycle and cache, these are also two additional parameters, those we can mention as a part of the syntax, which are optional here, right? So if some of the sequence numbers you want to put into the cache for the fast access of this number, then you can also use the cache field, and you can also mention the size of the cache as a parameter here. For example, 30, right? So current 30 numbers will be in the cache that will be accessed fastly whenever it is required in the insert operation, right? So this is the syntax for creating the sequence, right? We will discuss with example, right? So when we want to create the sequence, and when we want to insert the data into the table, we want to use that sequence into the insert operation to insert these values automatically, right? We can use some parameters, right? So these parameters are nothing but the next value and current value, right? If you want to insert the current value of the sequence, right? Sequence is nothing but one object, it will hold some value, right? So this value, that will be the current, that will be the part of your sequence, right? So that minimum value, maximum value we are mentioning in this syntax. Also the starting point of that sequence also we are mentioning in this syntax, right? So current value, if you want to access of the sequence, you can use this syntax. Select my sequence name address dot is the my sequence name dot current value from 12 will return you the current value of the sequence, right? If you want to access the next value, right, of that sequence, there is a parameter, inbuilt parameter, that is next value, right? So address underscore sequence is the my sequence name, and next value you can access with the help of next value parameter. So this will return you the next value of the sequence, right? Sometime you might be feel now what is the current roll number that will be given to the next student, right? So if you want to check what will be the next roll number assigned to the particular student, that you can check with the help of this statement, select statement. And in this select statement, we are using here what we want to select from the dual is the dummy table that we have covered in the previous session, right? So here it will return you the next value of this sequence, particular sequence, right? And not only we can use this sequence for a particular table, for multiple table you can use the same sequence also, right? So now with in the syntax we will discuss how these parameters you can use to insert the value in the particular field here, right? So here is the syntax: create table address detail, right? So as you know, after creating table, you can create the sequence, right? And not only for a one table, you can use the sequence for multiple tables also, because the objective of the sequence is to generate the sequence numbers, right? So here create table address detail, address 1. For address 1, we want to create the sequence. For example, address 2 and city of the address will be provided by the user, right? So after creating table, right? After creating table, if you insert the data into the table, you can use the sequence here. So how you can use this sequence in the insert statement? Insert into address detail, address 1, address 2, city. These are my fields of the table, right? Values. Now, instead of providing the direct value for the address one, I want to pass here the sequence object, right? So address sequence dot next value. So whatever next value will be there for that particular sequence, that will be assigned as a address one of this record, for this record, right? And Akudi and Pune, these are the values provided by the user here as a directly values, right? So when you insert this record with the help of sequence, if you want to see what records are inserted into the table, you can execute this command select star from address detail. So you can find this 10 value, that is the next value of the sequence will be assigned to this record in the table. Right? So like this, if you execute the same command here, so 11 will be assigned to the next record as a address one, and so on. I hope students you are clear with this. If you want to drop this sequence, you can use drop sequence command. So drop sequence name, right? You must know the sequence name. Here, if you want to alter the parameters of the sequence, also you can do with the help of alter statement, right? So sequence is the DDL statement. So if you want to change the structure of the sequence, you can use the alter command statement here. So alter sequence name increment by 2. If in future, if you feel that you want to increment the sequence by 2, initially it was 1, now you want to modify it to 2. So that you can do with the help of alter statement, right? Cache 30 means 30 numbers of the sequence will be in the cache memory for the fast retrieval of the or insertion of the sequence number into the table, right? So sequence altered here you will get the message as a output of this statement, right? I hope student you are clear with this. So alter statement also you can use with the sequence, not only with the table. You can use this with the sequence also. So select address dot current value from 12 will give you 6. Now, after altering this, you have incremented this by the 2. You have set this increment parameter to 2. So definitely my next value will be 8 here, that we want to show here. So after altering the structure of the sequence, my next value, which is taken by the address sequence, will be what? 8 here. I hope you are clear with this. The next topic that we can discuss here, that is synonym. That is also one of the feature provided by the SQL language, right? So what is synonym here? It is nothing but the alternative name given to the particular database object. This database object can be table, right? It can be view, it can be procedure also, it can be stored function or sequence also. So if you want to give any nickname to the table or view, that you can do with the help of synonym. Right? So synonym is nothing but the alternative name for this database object. So how you can create this synonym here, right? So this synonym can be public or it can be private to the same database. So whenever this synonym will be public, that name, so that particular table synonym can be used by all the users in the database. For example, if there are 10 users, those are accessing the current database, our employee database or college database. All the 10 users can access this synonym name, right? Means they can perform insert, update, and read operation on this table, right? If it is a public synonym, right? So this public and this replace word is optional in the syntax. So what is my syntax here? Create or replace synonym name. This name is given by the user. For example, DBA want to create the synonym for a particular table that can be accessed by all the users in the database, right? So here this name will be given by the DBA. This name will be simple name that one user can remember easily, right? For a particular schema dot object, right? So see, student, when there are multiple users, those are working on a single database, right? Some of the table may be created by user 1, some remaining student table may be created by user 2, right? And if both want to access their tables, those are created by the other users, right? They need to also remember the username along with the table name, right? Here is the example. For example, here, right? What is the advantage of creating the synonym here? Synonym allows you to change the complicated and lengthy names by the simplified aliases, right? Here is the example. For example, human resources is one of the user or schema. In Oracle, username acts as a schema name, right? So human resources is the schema. In that schema, you have created employee location table, right? And other users also want to use this table. So you need to remember what this big name along with this big table name, right? So instead of this, there is an alternative solution, that is synonym, right? So you can create synonym for this lengthy name, complicated name, and you can give aliases to the name, that is offices. So other users will use this name with the offices. Not only other users, that one user also in the own database also, you can use the synonym name, simplified name for performing the different operations, right? So here is this example here. To define the synonym offices for the location table in the schema HR, we can use this statement, create synonym offices for HR dot locations, right? So offices is the name given by the DBA to which database or table, that is HR dot location. HR is what my schema name and location is my table name, right? So instead of mentioning this HR and dot with location, we can directly access this with the offices, right? No need to mention the username. Whenever other user want to access the table, then it will also mention the username along with the table name. Directly they can't access. But if it is synonym is created, this simple name they can use to perform the or access the table. Right? And how you can create here public synonym. So public synonym, this is the syntax. We can discuss with the employee table. Create public synonym employee table for HR.employee. Again, employee is the table defined under the HR schema. So synonym we are creating with the name employee underscore table, simple name that can be used by the users, right, to perform the different operations on the database, or that is employee table, right? So this is the part of syntax. So when we create it as a public, this synonym will be used by all the users. And whenever we create this without public, then only this synonym will be used by the that user of that same database only, right? I hope you are clear with this. Thank you.